So every once in a while, I'll go back and replay some of the old Sims 4 packs, and my sim Aspen Marie O'Connor just achieved level 10 of her doctor career, but I've also been wanting to replay through the detective career with my sim self because recently, back in April, I was on Chicago Fire, season 13, episode 19, called Permanent Damage, and I wanted my sim self, Pete, to basically join the detective career, help Voight and all the people to solve crimes and help find the people. And so I needed to build some type of detective house in The Sims 4 so I can manifest to get a role on Chicago PD one day. So I'm honestly not joking. I am a huge, huge, huge fan of the Chicago universe, Dick Wolf universe. The whole universe is just wonderful. Law and Order, Chicago PD, Med, Fire, all the things are my favorite. I watch it every single week when it's airing, but also I watch it on Ion for all the repeats because consuming that content is very, very therapeutic to me. And something about crime procedural shows are very cool to watch. But as of lately, I've been going back and replaying a lot of the Get to Work careers. Like I mentioned, my sim Aspen Marie O'Connor of my O'Connor Diaries Let's Play. She achieved level 10 of her doctor career recently, and I was so happy that it made me kind of want to go back and replay the other two careers because I've done the scientist career for Not So Berry way, way back in the day, like several years ago, but I never really fully played through the detective career because I felt it was kind of repetitive, and I also did not have a story back then to actually play it. But now that I'm a little bit older and wiser, I feel a lot more inspired to go back and do those things. And I want to kind of do a little mini let's play of playing through the detective career here on YouTube, especially in this house. And I'm only using base game and Get to Work in this build. And I'm quite surprised because way back in the day, that was our very first expansion pack we ever got in The Sims 4. It came with 3 active careers: scientist, detective, and doctor. It gave us a retail system, which is kind of lackluster and meh, but it does enhance if you have businesses and hobbies. But I will say that whole pack was really nice. It gave us aliens. They didn't have a skill tree back then because they were kind of still new, and we never really had an alien as an occult, especially in the previous iterations of the Sims franchise. But they were there in the Sims 2 and the Sims 3, but we couldn't really be one, if that makes sense. But I did like the idea of going back through Get to Work and wanting to understand what makes a detective career so interesting. And for me, I always have to have a story for every single build, every single sim that I create, because if I don't have a story, then why am I playing The Sims, you know? Because I think it's the best way to describe The Sims, especially The Sims 4 in general. It's very open-ended. There really is a lot of things that you can do, especially in base game now. But I also see if you want to remain inspired and motivated each and every day to come back to this game, whether you're a builder or a storyteller or you just making sims or just causing chaos, I think you have to have some type of good mindset to do that. At least for me, whenever I hop into the Sims, I always think about how can I make my Sims lives worse or better, depending on what save file I'm doing and also what kind of sim I'm playing with. Because, for example, my sim Aspen Marie O'Connor, her father Royce O'Connor, is the worst sim I have ever created and have ever met in my entire life. And that's saying a lot because Don Lothario is also a hot mess express and we don't like him. However, we still have kids with him. So in a way, is it bad? No, but yes. But Royce, he is the worst sim. But for Royce, he's the worst sim ever because he not only lost all the money in his daughter's and ex now deceased wife's foundation, charity foundation. He lost all the money through gambling reasons. He also lost the house because he could not pay the bills. He lost all the employees. He nearly went to jail. And there was a lot of crazy controversy around him that he could not be trusted with anyone or anybody's money. He lost a lot of money for people that invested in the charity, in the business for Aspen Diane O'Connor, Aspen Marie's mother. And he kind of burned a lot of bridges over the past couple of years that I needed to have a sim that I'm going to create for this Let's Play. And he's going to live here, but he's going to somewhat help Royce in the whole law situation because my sim Aspen is getting married to her high school best friend Jack Collins very soon, and he's a lawyer, and he's also helping Royce at the same time on the legal side. But I also think that if the sim who lives here helps Royce on like the detective side, things might pan out very well because there are some type of weird secrets and rumors going around with like Royce's like reputation and personality that he he did X and Y and Z things to so many different people and burned a lot of bridges that it almost resulted him in getting sued and going to jail. And I think he's going to eventually get sued very soon, but I just don't know when it's going to happen because I recently made a build on Twitch like a couple of weeks ago that there was a sim who lived in Brindleland Bay who owns 7 animals, 3 dogs, 4 cats, and she's like this elderly lady. She invested all this money into basically Aspen Diane's foundation, what she represents and everything for like charity work, acting, healthcare, all the things. And she's like basically spent her entire life savings on that foundation. And the person who was like controlling those finances was Royce. And so Royce mismanaged all the money for so many years and told no one and kind of blamed all of the weird controversy drama on the employees that were working for him at the time. And when they all slowly started to leave, Aspen Marie, his daughter, kind of got a little bit skeptical of like, what's going on? Why is everyone leaving? Why is Heather leaving? Why did Sophia leave? Like there were so many people leaving that she didn't know what was going on. So she asked her father and he straight up lied to her face, like point blank on Christmas, by the way. And not only did all that stuff happen, Royce kind of didn't take, accountability for himself. He never really did for the past 40 years, even in his own marriage. And when Aspen Diane like passed away, when Aspen Marie was in college, it kind of resulted into that bond being broken all over again because he wasn't really there when Aspen was a child. He never really like took care of her. It was mostly like the nannies and like family friends taking care of Aspen in her younger years. Well, whereas Royce was managing the business, always traveling, doing a lot of different things, and Lord and behold, finding out he has another child from another, separate relationship, and he doesn't know, but the other sim knows that Royce doesn't know. So there's going to be a lot of like weird intertwining things. And I went into one of my saves today, the O'Connor Diary save, and I was doing this on stream because I was doing a lot of prep work for Generation 2 for Winston when we control him. That I'm like, why in the world is there a whole giant like prison in Oasis Springs? Why did I add a prison? And so I deleted it, not knowing like why it was there because it just didn't occur to me because I haven't played in Oasis Springs in a while. But now that I'm thinking about it, I know why. Because Royce was supposed to go to jail at some point, and there was going to be a lot of different like weird, like visits that Aspen Diane and like some other family friends were gonna do. And so I think I might build my own prison in The Sims 4 because I mean there's so many on the gallery, but knowing Royce, I want to make something that's small and he has a reputation. He's like a 2-star celebrity and Aspen's like I think a 5-star celebrity at this point in my game that I kind of want to like dabble into like that more chaoticness and have like weird drama, custody battles, and all the things. So I want to definitely tap into that. And I'm going to build a prison at some point. I don't know if I'm going to make it big or small, but let me know in the comments below because this might be a while. Should I build a small prison or like a medium-sized prison? Now, granted, this will be a prison for like celebrities or like famous people or whoever, but it's, I guess, like in a way, more of a rehabilitation center, if you will. But he going to prison at some point soon for all of his nonchalant craziness that happened in the past 40 years. But I will say, playing through the detective career on stream, it has got me thinking how the career was even made because you can go to work with your Sims, which I think is like the coolest thing about Get to Work. It's very interactive. It gives you a chance to like talk to your coworkers, your boss, take mugshots of like the prisoners there, get fingerprints, search them, do all the things. But then you also get to go out on the workforce and like be even more interactive with your actual career, finding like suspects or talking to the suspects, talking to the victims, maybe getting some photographs of like evidence, taking photos of evidence. Like there's a lot of things about the detective career that I think is so much fun that I wish they would eventually, if they do ever do a refresh of a pack like Get to Work, I would love for them to revamp the detective career and the doctor and even the scientist career, but I think more so just the whole pack itself. But I don't think they'll ever do it because they just haven't done one since Spa Day, and that has been a couple of years since that refresh. And it was a really nice refresh, but I don't really have my Sims go to the spa that much, nor do my Sims have a sense of relaxation mindset at all. But let me know in the comments below if they ever refresh Get to Work one day down the line or even like add new update things to it. What would you want them to add or update or refresh, especially knowing that we have three active careers that we can go to work with our Sims and even the retail system? I wish there was like a better way to like own a retail business because I don't want to use a lot of business and hobbies, even though it's like the best system in the world. When you combine the two, you can only sell certain things on your like retail lot, or if you have like a small business, you can only sell certain things if they're on those little pedestals. And I, for one, would love to sell like furniture, fridges, counters, microwaves, like basically IKEA, but in The Sims 4. So you could do it with Get to Work and make everything for sale that way. But I do like the system of businesses and hobbies of what it incorporates to it. So it can only enhance Get to Work retail system in a different way. But I don't know. I don't know. But I wanted to make a house that was nothing too big or too small, but it is definitely just a one bedroom, one bathroom house. There is like this open floor planness to it. If you kind of look at it, it's very open ended with like everything closed off, like the kitchen, living room, a little bit of the dining room, and of course, the bedroom, the bathroom. And I think I have an office in here, but it's very, very small. And I was kind of confused because one sim was only going to live here and I had all this space. And normally, when I have like a big space area, I don't know what to do. And then I realized with the detective career, in order to get promoted in certain ways, you have to work on your fitness skill. So I ended up actually just adding in this like small little room of a gym. So it got smaller and smaller as I continue to build on the inside. And I'm like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I kind of like the idea, and everything is completely functional because I play tested it on stream. And I feel like one day we should definitely get more workout equipment. Like, think about it. Your Sims could run on the treadmill, do a little, like, arm workout, leg workout. But it would be cool to have like a stationary bike or like do pull ups or like dumbbells to like do some arm workouts. That would be really, really cool because there is a mod by the Simrillas who added in like dumbbells and of course like a stationary bicycle and like a stair stepper. Like those things are really cool. I haven't used that mod in a while, but it's a very good mod to use for like exercisey type things. But it would be fun if they integrated within the game itself one day down the line. So like I have like a very long list of like hit ideas, pack ideas, update, refreshes ideas that I would love to see in The Sims 4 one day. Because this game is gonna be 11 years old in September. Like, think about that. We're coming up on the 11th year of The Sims 4. And it's so wild to me to think that because normally a Sims like franchise or a game only lasts about like 4, maybe 5 years. But this is like getting a little bit lengthy, a little bit long. And I'm like thinking, wait, what happened? Like when the 4 year mark, passed, I'm like, okay, maybe they're doing something a little bit different. 5 year mark, I'm like, okay, what's happening? What's happening? Things are getting a little bit more different. Kind of excited, kind of scared. And 6, 7, and I'm like, okay, something's going on. What's happening? So I was always expecting that The Sims 4 was going to end at some point because it was so ingrained in my brain that this another Sims game would like happen after like the 5 year mark or the 4 year mark. But no, it's still running, it's still here. And I kind of like that it's lasting this long and even hopefully for more years because there's so many things that they still have to do. At least I think they should do in The Sims, like in terms of like diversity with hairstyles, cultures, clothing, food, like all the interactions and all the packs that they probably haven't done yet, especially for like the past iterations of The Sims, like The Sims 3 and The Sims 2. There were a lot of really cool like features and animations and objects that were so good to have for occult players, family game players, builders, creative simmers, and just in another everyday simmer that just does it all, but takes their time with it. So One, I would love to have more things for infants because infants are still brand stinking new. They're only been around for like 2 years in the game since growing together. So I feel like they could definitely do more with infants, definitely more with elders, and even also incorporating more things for the overall like family centric Sims. Like kids could probably have a little bit more, teens could have a little bit more. Think about having hotels in The Sims 4. We don't have them at all in The Sims 4. We have them in The Sims 2 because Bon Voyage. We have them in The Sims 3 with Island Paradise. But Sims 4, we don't really technically have it, but we have like bits and pieces of it in like various of packs, like with businesses and hobbies, the for rent pack, even like a little bit of island living. Like we have different pieces of hotels in almost all the packs, but we don't have like dedicated pack for hotels. So I'm like wondering when will they add that system in? Because that would be very, very helpful for mostly me and probably other people too. But I just love to one day run a hotel either in the ground or simply, a 5-star resort hotel. Because recently, what I've been doing on Twitch for like mostly every single Thursday, we play The Sims 3 Island Paradise, and we're doing like this thing where we play a pack by itself until like we're completely finished with an aspiration or a certain amount of skills, or I feel like I've done enough to like understand island living or a Sims 3 pack. We did it with World Adventures, and that pack is hands down the best Sims 3 pack besides Generations and Seasons and Ambitions. So, like, it's up there in my top five. I don't know what my fifth option would be. I definitely need to do like a ranking video of all of the Sims 3 packs and even Sims 4 and even Sims 2 because we don't get any more packs for The Sims 2 or 3, but I feel like I can do it now that I've been replaying with them for a couple of years. And especially The Sims 4, because I got a lot of opinions on The Sims 4 as of right now of like what could possibly they could bring or what they could probably change down the line with this game, especially if they're going to continue to add more for the next like 5 to 10 years. Like imagine if The Sims 4 was like 20 years old. That would be very interesting. I mean, after September, we'll have 9 years left to get to, year 20. But thinking 20 years of The Sims 4 is like, I don't even want to think about the future because the future is like so scary and unpredictable. And you never know what's going to happen. But just thinking about 20 years of this game. I will say with this build, we definitely have to gap some more, of course, in a real-time tour as we per usually do at the end of these videos. So if you would like to hop and watch some more, definitely stick around, of course. But if you already skipped to this part of the video, hey, what's up? We're about to do a real-time tour in The Sims 4, so let's go ahead and hop into the game. So now that we're officially in the game, I have to say I kind of want to do another career-based build in The Sims 4 because after doing this detective build, I want to do like a doctor one or a scientist or an interior designer or pretty much any career in The Sims 4 because everyone has their own distinct style for the careers and each one have their own distinct skill sets they need to get a promotion. So I made sure I only included base game and get to work. So if you want to download it, it only has get to work in base game. So pretty much everyone has access to it. At least I think people do, especially for get to work. But for the most part, for the inside, I wanted to keep it very open and simple. So I added in your basic like basket, some more toy chests, a security alarm because Robin Banks is out here in these streets stealing people's stuff at 2 a.m. because Robin's about to go to jail if she robs this house. Best believe it. Robin's going to not going to the bank. Robin's going to jail. But essentially, I wanted to make sure this little open foyer area was like very nice and open so your Sims can like walk through either to this hallway leading to the gym or the mini office or even going to the living room on this side. But I wanted to separate it by not closing it off, but I separated it with a spandrel, which I thought was an easier choice. I also really love this wallpaper that we have with base game. There are a lot of things that I just don't really notice in base game, especially with all the wallpapers and the stone. And I always ask myself, when did we get this? Has this always been here? Because there's an actual like new like wallpaper, or at least this wallpaper, the above deck wallpaper. All of these swatches I do not remember being added at all. We probably had them for years and I just did not see. But I really, really love like especially this dark blue, stunning. I also love like this orange, stunning. having like a little bit of this is also good. And the other thing I forgot about that we had in base game was a brand new carpet that we probably have for a couple of years. It's called the Smart Fiber Classic Carpet. And I don't like carpet in The Sims 4 because I think it's always moldy and nasty and weird looking. But a good classic carpet gives off like, that 90s nostalgia vibe, and I just have to use it everywhere I go. But I don't think I used it in this build because everything about this build is all hardwood floor, so you don't really have any carpet other than like rugs. But that's basically about it. But there were like two things I did not know that we had in base game that I probably should have used in this build or like my other builds. But now that I know, I probably will. But as we move forward, we do have a nice little home gym, so your Sims can come in here, run on the treadmill, even work on the exercise machine, with the legs, the arms, the back, the whole everything. They can even listen to some music if they want to while they work out, or just kind of just stand here and like look at themselves via the mirror if they are like Don Lothario or Jay Huntington III. But then on this side, we do have the general small office area for your detective. And I feel like with the detective career in The Sims 4, way back then, the way they promoted it with all the music videos and the trailers, everything about it was so cool. 3 careers, all active, that you can actually go to work with your Sims and do things and go out into the field and even do more work, whether you're a detective or a doctor or even a scientist. But I felt also too they needed a nice big bathroom, so I added in a nice toilet, a sink, and a shower tub combo. Could never forget a bin because you always gonna have one in your builds before things get a little bit trashy. Over here we have the main bedroom. I did add in a nice like training bag so that way your Sims can also train within their bedroom if they don't want to go to their actual like home gym or like having to need to utilize different spaces. They can just stay in here if they need to, especially if they're feeling like sick and don't want to like move outside of their own room. I did also add in some like rack of magazines so your Sims can read a little bit more, a mirror. I also added in this double bed that we got with a Pride update like a couple of months ago, along with the bisexual Pride flag. I also added in an acoustic guitar, even some more reading material, and a nice weird Journey to the Stars alien poster, which honestly, I always feel like detectives are like in cahoots with like the secret society or whatever, and they know everything about aliens, and so they're in cahoots with the scientists and they work together. So having like a little like poster that simulates aliens and extraterrestrial and ET, it gives off the vibes. Maybe I might even build like a scientist's house next door so we can like simulate that they are like in cahoots together, or maybe in a marriage split type of situationship. I don't know. My brain works very weirdly, and sometimes I roll with the Delulu ideas and builds, and it kind of actually works. And then over here, we have the main living room where you can live, sleep, eat, do whatever you really want, honestly. We have a fireplace, a gaming cube, an art frame TV. I added in this retro stereo that I barely use. It's from base game, but I kind of like it. I also added in some more reading material, some posters on the wall. I added in the crime board from the detective career, and my sim has been using this quite often to like decipher some clues, add some new like evidence to the board, things like that. So your Sims can use this as an interactive object to kind of simulate that you are bringing your work home. And I've watched a lot of like Law and Order and Criminal Minds, and I'm like, I love psychological thriller books and movies and TV. I live for the crime in like TV shows and like movies and books. So having it in The Sims is like up my alley. So I had to add in a crime board because, again, my Delulu brain likes to run with weird ideas, and it works. And then the kitchen area is like the heart of the home, as we always know. I love food. My Sims love food. Bob Pancakes loves food. So henceforth, I have to have a nice, decent kitchen. So adding in an array of counters and cabinets and even an island, and then also adding in a dining room table. And I must always have a sim ray wherever I go. It's mostly used during the scientist career, but your Sims, whoever obtain it, can utilize it, either freeze other Sims or like duplicate objects or set things on fire or clone. I've used the sim ray more than you think. Especially if you watched my Not So Berry Let's Play like 6 years ago, you would know that Gen 1, the Mint Gen, was chaotic, and I loved every single minute of the Mint Gen. But as we make our way to the backyard, we do have two planter boxes, a nice seating area over here. I also added in a nice big pool, some lounge chairs, the telescope that is more of the smaller one that can kind of unalive your sim if you're not careful. And then I also added in the grill from base game that I thought was a nice touch, because if you have a backyard with a pool and some seating, you gotta add in a grill some way somehow. But however, if you do want to download this build for yourself, it's already up on the gallery under the hashtag SpringSims, or my gallery ID, which is also SpringSims. But for whatever reason, if you're curious of what items I used in my build, all you literally got to do is click the icon, click show used items, and then it will show you what items I used in my build. And I didn't really technically use everything from Get to Work, because most of it's tailored to the doctor career or the scientist career, or even the retail system. So most of it was unusable, but at least you can now see what items I use. It's a good tip to always check what items are used in a build or create a sim before you download it, and you don't have to like scream and cry saying, why is everything deleted? You know, little things like that go a long way. But however, I do hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments below, as always, of what kind of career build should I do next in The Sims 4, because honestly, I want to build all of them, but I want to hear from you on what I should build next. But as always, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!